show. This train goes everywhere you want to go. LeBrain Train. LeBrain Train.
Give me a one-way ticket to anywhere and a glazed donut. To go.
LeBrain Train. LeBrain Train. All aboard.
Hey everybody, happy Easter. Welcome to the LeBrain Train. Sorry about the late start. We had some technical difficulties here. There's one right there. I could not seem to get my microphone and my camera working at the same time. So then I got my laptop going to see if I could boot that sucker up. Thank you, American Dream 2.5. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoy the show. Anyway, yeah, I was having some technical difficulties. I thought I was going to have to broadcast from the laptop. Did a restart on both computers. Still can't get a browser window open on the laptop. It is not looking promising for another season at the cottage for the laptop. But welcome to the show. Happy Easter, everybody. Jen says Happy Easter. Tonight we're talking about Easter memories. We're drinking some coffee. We're drinking some soda pop. And I got a whole bunch of videos that are lined up to give us some audio-visual accompaniment for some of these stories that I'll be telling tonight. Because, you know, when I was a kid, Easter was an important holiday. It was a 4-day weekend for us Catholic school kids. And it was more about the holiday itself than the religious aspect, which I will touch on in a little while. But it was always a big deal in our family. We had chocolate Easter bunnies, and my parents would say, "Oh, the Easter bunny came." And actually, I did have fish and chips, Chris Sar. I did have fish and chips. Thanks for asking. Oh, the Easter bunny came, and, you know, there would be coloring books and chocolates and things like that waiting for us. Pretty sure one year I got coloring books and markers, like a set of markers. Maybe it was an activity book, but seem to remember being really excited about having a set of markers for Easter. And we would paint the eggs and do all that stuff. And we, I remember we had a Sesame Street egg decorating kit. Remember that very well, and it had like stickers and paints and little cardboard holders that you could put your eggs in and make them look like Bert and Ernie, that kind of thing. See if I can get this laptop to actually open a browser window. So yeah, we had so many good Easters over the years. But again, the religious aspect of it was not necessarily at the forefront of our Easter celebrations. It was more about family. And I cannot remember the exact year, but I can tell you that it was the year that my dad decided that we were not going to go to Easter service at church anymore. Hey, look at that. The browser window's trying to open. Cannot remember the year, but we went to Easter service, and my dad always liked getting an aisle seat. So it was easier for us to get out at the end of the service. But he made the mistake of sitting at the end of the aisle on the bench on the night that they were offering to wash your feet as a token of the way that Jesus Christ washed the disciples' feet. And my dad is not the kind of person that likes to say no. And apparently his discomfort at saying no to something exceeded his discomfort of having his feet washed by a stranger. So kicked off his shoes, and this dude washed his feet the way that Jesus Christ washed the feet of the disciples. And my mom remembers it well. And I do believe that is the very last time that we ever attended Easter service at the church. And our attendance at the church, there was a steep decline from that point forward. Very, very steep decline. Chris Sarr apparently was not at church that night, but Chris Sarr did attend the same church as us. That's good coffee. I like my new mugs, Mom. Isn't that nice? It says Nespresso on the front. Holy Thursday service. There you go. And we never attended another one ever again. Although I did, and we'll get into that another time. But like I said, we had pretty good long weekends, and when we had a cottage, we would maybe start going to the cottage for Easter weekend. But one year, Easter of 1985, we went to Ottawa for the weekend. And I can remember a very long, very, very, very long ride in a minivan all the way to Ottawa with my grandma in the car. And we stayed with my mom's Uncle Gar and Aunt Miriam, who we all loved. They were great. And we probably hit some museums. But, the things I remember the most are the music, the gifts, and I got, for that Easter, I got Quiet Riot's Condition Critical on cassette. And I'll have a story about this that I'll be publishing on Easter Monday in a little bit more detail. But I remember bringing my Sanyo Ghetto Blaster with us on this trip with a big, big, big pair of headphones like this, and being able to listen to my Quiet Riot Condition Critical cassette. That was my brand new gift that Easter. And I seem to remember also getting a Transformer. This is not the Transformer. This is a third-party version of G1 Bombshell. G1 Bombshell was the Transformer that I got as a gift that Easter, and I remember playing with him in that house in Ottawa. Would have looked something like that. It's supposed to be an insect. You can see he's got little spindly little legs on the bottom here. You can see his spindly little legs, insect legs. So I would have got that guy. Are you sure we didn't stay with her aunt? Maybe. I don't know. I remember. It's possible. I don't know. I remember being in Ottawa. You tell me. You fill in the details. My mom never pushed going to church every Sunday. I won't say my mom pushed going to church every Sunday, but we certainly went more in the early days than we did in the later days. That is for sure. That's some good coffee. That was a good Easter, though. I have good memories of that Easter. Long car drives can be a bore, but we did have our music, and I probably had a novel or two, or comic book or two. Cassettes and Transformers? My sister and I only got chocolate. Well, dude, hang on for the ride, buddy, because things get a little bit crazier as the years pick up, and my mom will have to answer some questions. Bombshell or Skywarp, LeBrain? I'm on the side of Skywarp. You're talking about which one became either Scourge or Cyclonus. Skywarp. Yeah, Skywarp, I agree. Stayed with your aunt and uncle when they lived there for 1 year. That could be, but that was later. I got that written down here as Easter 88. Easter 88 is Ottawa. And I know that for a fact because of the tape that I got for that Easter. So, I don't know. Easter 85, not sure who we stayed with. Easter 88, definitely stayed with aunt and uncle in Ottawa. But we'll get there. We're not at Easter 88 yet. We're still at Easter 85. Which, like I said, was a good Easter. And I was a big Quiet Riot fan, and we obviously all knew that Condition Critical was not as good as the Metal Health album. But we'll touch on some Metal Health in a little bit. But as much as I wanted to love that Condition Critical album, it was clear to me that some of those songs just were not as good, and some of the song titles were kind of lame, like Stomp Your Hands, Clap Your Feet was kind of a little lame. You don't remember the Easter isn't that the Easter that the dog bit Jeffrey? Anyway, it's the Easter that I got David Lee Roth. Easter 88. I stayed in Jeffrey's room. He insisted on listening to the radio all night. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Easter 86 was a fun one because we spent it at the cottage. And we have some photos. I'll be showing a little bit of a slideshow in a little bit. It was cold. There was still some ice on the lake, but it wasn't completely frozen over anymore like it used to be during the winter. I don't know if it gets frozen over anymore during the winter. My mother will have to... Chris can't remember Easter 2017, and I can remember 1985. I don't know if the lake gets frozen over anymore in the winter. Because, regardless of what you see on Facebook, global warming isn't a observable real thing. And we got pictures to prove it. And we used to get ice. And it was Easter weekend. My dad and my sister took the canoe out onto the ice. And I fell in the... You know what? Let's just run the damn thing. Easter 86. So there you go with the actual pictures from that weekend. I did fall in. Got a soaker, as they called it back then. We probably still do now. My mom says it still sometimes freezes over in the winter, but back then it froze over every single winter. And that Easter it started to thaw, and we took the canoe out. That's my sister and my dad and my uncle probably in that canoe, in that photograph. And in the backyard, I'd be with my badminton racket playing air guitar with my Sanyo tape deck. And I distinctly remember listening to that Black Sabbath song. I distinctly remember playing Crossbows and Catapults on the kitchen floor. And you might be wondering, what's Crossbows and Catapults? Well, that was a neat game that came out in the 80s, and I think a form of it still exists today. But I had it for a couple of years. The problem with Crossbows and Catapults is that you need a long, flat, very somewhat smooth surface to play the game in, because you're shooting discs and whatnot across a surface, a playing surface, and a carpet just didn't do it. At home, the only playing surface we had that was good enough was the kitchen floor, and it was just too cramped of a space to play Crossbows and Catapults. It worked better at the cottage, so we brought the game to the cottage and we started playing it there. And we'd put yardsticks in front of the fridge and in front of the stove so that you don't accidentally shoot a little projectile under the fridge or the stove, because that would mean having to stop the game and hunt for it. It was a fun game. You could only play it at the cottage, and we had sort of like a rippled kitchen floor there. A more open space, so it was easier to play, but more rippled surface. So the projectiles never picked up a lot of speed. But Crossbows and Catapults kind of looked like this.
The Vikings and the barbarians will do battle this day with crossbows and catapults. They skirmish at the outposts and at the heavily guarded fortresses. This furious action with warriors, spies. The mighty Minotaur bellows defiance at the frightful Cyclops, and the earth trembles. Crossbows and Catapults by Lakeside. The fantasy adventure with real action. Better luck next time. Oh.
That was a fun game. Part strategy, part just skill. And we'd be shooting these these little pogs basically across the floor and trying to knock down your opponent's castle. And I distinctly remember doing that while listening to Motley Crue. I only had a few tapes back then, so I didn't have a lot to choose from to listen to. So here we are, Easter weekend, listening to Nikki Sixx talking about how Frankie died just the other night. Some say it was suicide on Easter weekend. So Easterly of us. But it was a fantastic weekend. We used to play that Quiet Riot Mental Health cassette in the kitchen. Again, we'd have the badminton rackets to be guitars. And my sister and I would take turns being lead vocalist, miming the lead vocals, and the other person being the guitarist. We'd alternate from song to song. And nobody wanted to have to sing Thunderbird, the ballad. Nobody wanted to sing any of the ballads. So, usually I'd try to stick my sister with the ballads. We also did the same thing with the Condition Critical cassette, but it just wasn't as much fun. Oh, and we also played badminton, believe it or not, with all the badminton rackets hanging around. We actually played some badminton. Easter at 86 was such a great winter, and it was a mild... Easter of 86 was such a great winter. That is not what I meant to say. It got mild that Easter at the tail end of winter. And it was just a nice weekend at the cottage. You can see I wasn't wearing a jacket. Yeah, I think things have changed now as well as far as going to church. But that's the true story about why my father decided that we were done with Easter services. And really, as soon as my sister and I were done with Catholic school, my father and my mother were kind of done with church. And yeah, you know what? I believe in God too. And I'm not gonna turn this into... I didn't really want to get onto the religious side of Easter for this show. I do have some more church kind of stories, but I'm just talking about fun, musical and childhood memories. But I agree with you. And as I mentioned in that video, yeah, my grandmother's with you. She went to Easter church services. I think probably Good Friday and Easter Saturday, probably. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Quiet Riot, Mental Health, Motley Crue. I only had so many cassettes, so there wasn't much to listen to. I remember listening to that Black Sabbath track. It was fairly new at that point in 86, early 86. Didn't know who the lead singer really was. Didn't know anything about Glenn Hughes. He didn't look like a metal guy with that beard. It was an interesting time just learning about all these bands. Black Sabbath was on a serious decline, and it was just wild that they actually had something new out. We were aware of things like that, my friends and I. Oh, poor Kevin was an altar boy. I wasn't envious of any of those folks. Easter of 87. Easter of 87 was a G.I. Joe Easter. I remember that very, very clearly. And at this point, I'm going to need my mum to step in. Because, well, Kevin's already noticed I'm getting like Transformers and Quiet Riot cassettes for Easter. But something really changed at Easter of 87. Things ramped up in a big way. And I'm not sure I fully understand why. I remember getting things like Europe's Final Countdown cassette. I remember getting, chocolates and all the same stuff that I always got every Easter. And I remember getting a G.I. Joe vehicle. Now, it might have been a gift for my sister and I to share, but still, I can remember saying to my sister, why are we getting a G.I. Joe vehicle for Easter? That's like birthday or Christmas gift level stuff. Why is this happening? And we kind of had an agreement between the two of us. Let's not bring it up. We're getting the good stuff this Easter. Maybe if we don't draw their attention to it too much, we can keep this up. Chris Sarr got Polo deodorant one year for Easter. That's awesome, buddy. Here I am playing with G.I. Joes. It was an awesome G.I. Joe Easter. We were digging trenches for the G.I. Joes in the backyard. That was awesome. Some of them came with M60 machine guns with folding down bipods, and it was fun to have them in the trench holding the machine gun supported by the bipod. And when you've got trench warfare with G.I. Joes, nothing works better than a tank. That was the Easter I brought my Mauler to the cottage.
Mauler! goes where the spirit go. The incredible Mauler rides for G.I. Joe.
Look, Cobra soldiers. The Mauler will get 'em.
The G.I. Joe motorized mauler holds 4 Joes. Goes left, right, forward, and fast forward.
G.I. Joe, a real American hero.
Yo, Joe!
G.I. Joe Mauler, other Joe and Cobra figures and equipment sold separately from Hasbro.
And that thing really worked really well, too. You know, a lot of battery-powered toys when we were kids were kind of notorious for breaking down, but that tank was solid. And I had a lot of fun with that thing in the backyard. Trench warfare. You know, I would kind of bring my more camouflage G.I. Joe guys with me when we had a weekend like that. Some of them got very brightly decorated towards the middle and end of the line. So I try to bring my more camo, traditional-looking G.I. Joes so they could disguise themselves in the trenches. And we would get little sticks and twigs, and we'd build little huts and things like that for them. It was a great time. That was a cool tank, man. That was a cool tank. Happy Easter. But like I said, my mom went a little crazy with the gifts that year, and she gave my sister, she gave her well, both of us, I think it was for us to share, gave us this.
You're looking at Cobra's new high-speed attacker, the Cobra Stun.
Look, it's the G.I. Joe recon sled. After him.
The Cobra Stun holds 11 Cobra soldiers.
Cobra!
And during battle with the Joes, the front end of the stun can separate to take them on.
It's really dangerous, Cobra Stun. Really dangerous to G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe, American hero.
Live the adventure of G.I. Joe. Cobra Stun comes with driver, G.I. Joe recon sled, and figures sold separately.
So we got that for that Easter. My sister and I don't know why we scored so well. We agreed kind of just to keep our questions on the hush-hush. But I'm waiting for my mom to answer. Why, in the year 1987, did all of a sudden we start scoring such better gifts? Levels above previous years. Like birthday level gifts. I don't understand. My sister doesn't remember this, but my mom confirmed on the phone the other day. That's what happened. She did up the level of the Easter gifts. And I was like, do we know anybody else who's getting Easter gifts? No, shh. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. We got a good deal going on here. Damn it! She doesn't know. Okay, well, you know what? Here's the honest to God truth then. The honest to God truth is it happened because I have a good mom. How's that? I always used to tell people I had the best mom and dad, so there you go. My dad did not get a promotion. He was getting closer and closer to retirement. Yeah, you know what? We did a lot of cool Lego battles, not specifically at Easter time. Easter time, a lot of the time we were at the lake, and it wasn't a good place to bring our Legos, but we definitely did a lot of Lego battles. Of course, 80s metal, man. Of course. We're going to talk a little bit more about it. Me and my brother used to set up 2 Mega Bloks pirate ships with men and shoot spring-loaded cannonballs trying to knock all the men off. Essentially, what that is crossbows and catapults. The Mega Bloks were actually very similar in size to the crossbows and catapults building blocks that you use to build the castles and your fortifications. And yes, we got gifts on my birthday too. Don't know, man. My mother doesn't remember. Oh, wait. Because of the cottage we had. Okay. This is true. With my aunt and my uncle involved as well. We did do a big, elaborate Easter hunt, and it was a lot of fun. It was a nice piece of property. It still is a nice piece of property. And you could really, really do a good Easter egg hunt. They would leave clues, and you would have to solve a riddle and figure out what it was about, and then you'd look in a spot and find the next clue, and eventually you'd find some cool gifts. That's true, yeah. Good times indeed. Yes, we sure did. We sure did the best one. Oh, God. These guys are getting started on it. And hey, T-Bone, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. I was late, too. I had some technical issues. I had to restart my PC. But we're back. Back in action. Still have a good mom. Absolutely. Still have a good mom. Yeah, okay, well, these guys are going to go on about Mindcrime, which I don't associate with any particular Easters. But Easter of 87 was a pretty epic one with those G.I. Joe battles in the backyard. Full-on trench warfare. because the cottage didn't have a lawn per se like you would in the city. My dad didn't mind too much if we dug up a few trenches here and there. At home, you don't want to disturb your nice, beautiful, pristine lawn, but at the lake, it was more or less just weeds. And you'd set that tank on full blast forward, and it would just rip across the yard. You'd always worry about losing the little guy's machine guns and whatnot and accessories in the grass, but we never lost any permanently. We were very, very careful about that. Man, we had such good times. Such good times. That was a happy Easter, I'll tell you that. Easter of 88 was a happy Easter, too. This is the one my mom was talking about where we stayed with my aunt and uncle in Ottawa. And I believe it is the very first time that our gentle little schnauzer Crystal Bell bit another human being. And it happened to be my rambunctious cousin, Jeffrey. Pretty sure that was Easter of 88, and everybody was shocked. Like, oh my God, the dog bit somebody? Oh my God. Well, figures it was him. I have a feeling that we, well, I know for sure we went to museums on the Easter 88 trip. I know that 100% for a fact. And it's really interesting that T-Bone is here because the gift that I remember for Easter 88, the only gift that I remember for Easter 88, was my original cassette copy of David Lee Roth's Skyscraper album. And the reason I'm glad T-Bone is here is because the very first time T-Bone was on the show, we went into an in-depth discussion on the David Lee Roth Skyscraper album. And I probably played that cassette 3 times that Easter weekend. And I didn't have the greatest Walkman, and the cassettes weren't of the greatest quality back then, and that one was awful. I think I ended up burning through two David Lee Roth Skyscraper cassettes before finally getting a CD and saying that'll be the end of it. T-Bone remembers. Falling, falling, falling. I have to take it easy on my voice tonight. I've done 2 shows in a row, and my voice is starting to feel a little raspy. But that David Lee Roth cassette sounded really warbly on my Walkman that weekend. And it was my first time hearing Steve Vai on a full-length album. You know, I'd obviously heard him on the singles before, but not on an album. And I was like, there's something wrong here. Like, it's just, this it doesn't sound good. And I was kind of disappointed with the album until I got it home and played it on my Ghetto Blaster, and finally I was hearing it on something that was a little bit more stable. And I was like, oh, okay, these songs sound a little bit better now. You know, they're in key. No, it was David Lee Roth. And I remember another thing about that weekend, which my cousin Jeffrey sleeps with the radio on, and we had to bunk together in the same room. Warbly, yes, it was very warbly. We had to bunk together in the same room, and he played a lot of pop radio, and I just was not into the pop radio. They played a couple of rock songs. They played some Def Leppard, because that's another thing I got that Easter. Def Leppard's Animal cassette, the EP, the 4-song EP. I got that Easter as well. That's another good memory. That had a couple rare B-sides on it and some remixes. That's cool. Just remembered that. But the radio would play a little bit of Def Leppard. I remember Lita Ford's Kiss Me Deadly was on the charts at that time. But it was mostly pop stuff. In Excess, which I wasn't into at the time. And he couldn't sleep without the radio on. And the radio kept waking me up in the middle of the night. So it's a bit of a rough weekend for sleep. Flutter and Wow. There was a lot of Flutter and Wow that weekend when I played my David Lee Roth cassette. You are correct. It's a good weekend. I was getting a little bit tired of Jeffrey telling me all the names of the girls that he liked. But hey, whatever. He was my rambunctious cousin. And we had a good time otherwise, you know. Dog bit him. So, you know, if I was ever mad at him for something, I could just take comfort in the fact first human being that dog ever bit was my rambunctious cousin Jeffrey. I don't have a lot of memories about the Easter of 89 or the Easter of 90. Why didn't I unplug the radio? Because that's just rude. It's his radio. And it probably would have woken him. See, the thing is, the music woke me up. Probably the music turning off would have woken him up. Don't have a lot of memories about the Easter of 89 or the Easter of 1990. Def Leppard, lol. I Got Sticks. Kilroy was here album for Easter. That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. Thanks for dropping by, Scott. Nice to see you. That Def Leppard Animal cassette was really good. It had I Wanna Be Your Hero on it, which was a non-album track and a really, really, really good non-album track as well. It had the extended mix of Animal on it. What else did it have? Cannot remember the other track. It might have been Tear It Down. Yeah, it was Tear It Down. So you get 2 non-album tracks plus that extended remix of Animal. And I was such a Def Leppard nut at the time. That was my very first Def Leppard single. And I started collecting Def Leppard singles immediately after that. It all started the Easter of, 88. Easter of 88 in Ottawa. Getting that Def Leppard single. So exciting. I also remember my cousin had some cool G.I. Joes as well, but they were all missing pieces. I saw his joke. What's got 10 legs and 9 arms? Could it be Def Leppard? What is your mom getting you for Easter 2021? Well, there's a. I guess we'll find out. Okay. Anyway, I'll just. My mother is giving us the gift of love this Easter. Good Easter with that Def Leppard single. And there was another Easter, and I could have been 90. It could have been 90. I got the David Lee Roth 7-inch single for Just a Gigolo. And for some reason, I brought the turntable to the cottage, and I remember spinning that single over and over and over again at the lake one Easter. David Lee Roth, Just a Gigolo. California Girls, double A-sided. I'm sure my mom and dad would remember that. Very rare for me to take my turntable to the cottage. Oh, geez, she didn't have to say, but there you go. That's what I'm getting. That's pretty cool. But yeah, Mom, do you remember that David Lee Roth, Just a Gigolo, playing that at the lake one Easter? And I'm going to say that was Easter of 90. That's what I think. I also had the Guns N' Roses single for Patience with Move to the City on the B-side. Pretty sure that was the same Easter. Or is it Paradise City that has Move to the City on the B-side? Whichever one has Move to the City on the B-side. That's the one that I had that Easter. There, she remembers. She remembers the David Lee Roth Just a Gigolo marathon. I mean, it's a great song. It's a great version. It's for all ages. Everybody loves it. We had a lot of fun with that. Cannot remember why I would have thought to bring my turntable to the lake unless my mother said, bring your turntable to the lake. Sometimes she would have made sure that we had the equipment to play something if we were going to the lake and there were certain gifts coming or certain activities planned. Like one year we did for my dad like a murder mystery birthday party, if I remember correctly. So we had to make sure, my mother made sure that we had a cassette player at the lake to play these murder mystery cassettes. As long as she's handing out the brown bill, wouldn't mind if one found its way over here. Okay, Scott, no problem. I'll make sure that one has your name on it. Easter of 91. Again, there was a tradition. My sister would, starting in around 1989, 90, 91, my sister would go into my tape collection and look for ones that I was missing. And once she had once I had all the Judas Priest, it was time for her to help me finish my Alice Cooper collection, or really kind of build an Alice Cooper collection. And for Easter of 91, my sister made sure that I got Welcome to My Nightmare for Easter, which was a really fucked album, let's say. Yes, you did meet my mom once. You did, at the garage sale. Probably many times other than that, too, when we were kids. Welcome to My Nightmare. Kind of a fucked album to be listening to at Easter time, but I do remember thinking to myself, this is my first step into a larger world in a very real way. I had Billion Dollar Babies already, but Welcome to My Nightmare was just something else completely. It was very, very epic, even compared to Billion Dollar Babies and School's Out, which I also had. The Black Widow, you know, the riff on that thing, it opened new doors for me. And, you know, I owe my sister a lot of credit for always getting me cool cassettes like that Alice Cooper. I don't know where she is tonight. She's probably doing something more important than this. I asked her if she wanted to watch, but she said nothing. That's true. My mom did go on field trips to chaperone the kids in grade school. That is 100% true. Yeah. But yeah, the sis got me the Alice Cooper tapes on a regular basis. Welcome to My Nightmare was Easter of 91. Yeah, it felt like the beginning of a new era for me, just hearing all this Alice Cooper stuff for the first time, the horror era, I guess, of Alice Cooper. Nope. Sorry. Don't know that one. The next year that I have written down is Easter of 92. And again, my mom's tradition of getting us overblown Easter gifts really, it hit a good peak that Easter. That was the year that she treated me to this baby right here. Aerosmith, Pandora's Box. 3 CD box set. Couldn't have really afforded it on my own. I was a unemployed student at that time, and I could not go to the cottage with the family for Easter for the first time that I can think of. Couldn't go to the cottage. I had to study. Final exams. And I was taking them seriously. I had a study method. And my mother was kind enough to give me this gift before they took off for the cottage for Easter weekend, and I buckled down to study. So I listened to this thing probably 3 times that Easter weekend from start to finish while I was studying for my finals. Psychology finals, Easter finals. I'm floored. Me too. Because that's a kind gift. And interesting fact is, when I first got this box set, the track When I Needed You, disc 1, track 1, Steven Tyler's pre-Aerosmith band, Chain Reaction, 1966, that was the earliest track of anything in my entire music collection at that time. It's kind of cool. Of course I passed. I studied hard, man. I had a system. And the music kind of helped keep me focused. But I studied lists. So if I had to write an essay question on the War of 1812, for example, I would make lists. You know, causes, effects, blah, blah, blah. And I would branch those lists down into sub-lists. And all I had to do was remember lists of words. And those words would trigger the facts that I needed to remember for the exams. So I would just remember lists of words or phrases. I would remember how many words were in a specific category that I had to remember, such as causes or effects, social, economic, whatever. I would remember 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, however many trigger words, and they would trigger the memory of the fact that I had to remember for the exam. Does that make sense? You were a student 92. Aha! Well, that's cool. VHS. Great box set. Great study aid. I think this was my second box set that I ever owned. after the Led Zeppelin 4 CD collection. I may be wrong on that, but I think this is the second one. It was not as consistent a listen as the Led Zeppelin box set. I haven't reviewed this yet, but I really should get around to it. It's actually quite easy for me to review because I've heard it so many times. And I read the liner notes cover to cover. A lot of unreleased tracks on here. And it goes all the way from, like I said, 1966 to Aerosmith's initial breakup. Not breakup, really. I mean, Joe Perry left the band. And then into... I think it only goes up to Rockin' a Hard Place. Yeah. So it only goes up to Rockin' a Hard Place, which was the album that did not have Joe Perry and Brad Whitford on it. But it's also got solo material on here, too. It's got a track from Joe Perry's I've Got the Rock and Rolls Again. And it has a track from Whitford St. Holmes, which was Brad Whitford's album that he did with Derek St. Holmes from Ted Nugent's band, I believe. Ted Nugent's singer. I've never heard of getting... I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. There we go. Full circle back to Operation Mindcrime. I know. I don't really understand. Hey! How are you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Nice to see you here. Always, first time? No problem, man. Glad you're here. This is just a casual Easter stream. We're not interviewing rock stars tonight, but next week, my friend, next week, we got Andy Curran. Andy Curran from Coney Hatch. Oh, yeah. Next week. It's this time, this place. Tune in for Andy Curran. But yeah, a Pandora's Box. Incidentally, this boxed version was discontinued in favor of a boxed version that was about, a third of the size. This is the one that you want if you can get it. Mine's a little banged up in the corner. It came that way out of the box, or out of the wrap, but otherwise it's in mint condition. And like I said, so many great tunes on here. A lot of unreleased stuff on here, including a hidden track. There's a hidden track at the end of disc 3. I think one of my favorites on here is there's an alternate recording of Movin' Out from the first Aerosmith album. And if I had to say so myself, it's actually superior to the version that came out on the first Aerosmith album. In my opinion. That was Easter in 92. Yes, I passed my exams. And you know what the best thing about 92 was? It was the very first time in my life I was on summer vacation in, April. That was amazing. That was amazing. I have another... No, I didn't miss anything. I'm good. I just have one more video to run. But I'm going to take another swig of this coffee. I don't have a lot of memories about a lot of the Easters that followed. 93, 94, 95, don't really remember. The next really, really, really memorable Easter in my life was Easter of 07. 2007. That was the year I met my lovely... Well, no, that wasn't the year I met my lovely wife, but that was the year that I got roped into volunteering at her church for their Easter service. She volunteered with the kids group. And I was just there to support Jen and watch the service just like everybody else. Somehow, when I walked in with Jen and she went to her group of kids and she was introducing me to her group of kids, one of the youth pastors decided that I had volunteered to help. I was on stage with these kids, holding a sign, and some kid climbing me like I'm a monkey bars. I remember this kid asking me questions. Who would win in a fight? The Hulk or Spider-Man? Who would win in a fight? Superman or Spider-Man? Who would win in a fight? Darth Vader or Superman? And I was just like, I'm not even supposed to be here today. But these are the things we do for love. These are the things we do for love. Oh my God. Her church used to do a big passion play. Like, very well-known passion play. She appeared in it. And I saw her in the 2006 version. I think it was, 2006 version of the passion play. Would have been the one I saw her in. No, that's not true. I saw her in the Christmas play. She was just a volunteer at the passion play. Yeah, she was a parking volunteer. Okay, that's right. And I got roped into helping with parking volunteer too. Anyway, those days are behind me. I don't get voluntold nothing no more. But, you know, aside from the fact that some kid used me as a jungle gym, and aside from the fact that he kept on shouting questions at me, such as, who would win in a fight, Spider-Man or Batman? It was actually a pretty good Easter. Always nice to spend Easter with Jen. And, you know, it was one of our first Easters as a couple, and I'm always happy to support whatever she's doing. So we had a good time, regardless of being used as monkey bars. The last Easter I wanted to talk about was Easter of 2016. And it's a little poignant now because we went to Ottawa one more time, and we went for Jen's grandparents this time. And her grandfather passed away in 2020, so it's a little poignant now, but we had a great time in Ottawa in 2016. We took the train down, and my goal was to do some record shopping, and we found a place called Vertigo Records in Ottawa. I'm going to show you a slideshow of our Ottawa trip with some cool stuff that we found. It was her grandparents' 60th wedding anniversary, and they had a big dinner. We rode in a big Hummer limo, and I may as well just show you some pictures. Show you some pictures, and we'll look at some albums that we acquired. Ottawa 2016. Nice limo, eh? That sucker was huge. And a great dinner. Great steak dinner. Oh, yeah. So I came home from Ottawa with four Japanese imports. Japanese reissue of Deep Purple's Battle Rages On. Look at that, $15. $15! Oh, the Hummer limo story was it was Jen's grandparents' 60th wedding anniversary, and the Hummer was much easier for her grandfather to step in and out of. Yeah. That was a good find. That helicopter single was a good find. Deep Purple's Battle Rages On 1996 album. No bonus tracks, but I'm always happy to upgrade a regular CD to a Japanese Obi strip intact. Oh, I should have said this one first. Deep Purple's Slaves and Masters. Again, $15. No bonus tracks. But I am always happy. Oh, no. Oh, never mind. There are no bonus tracks, but I'm always happy to upgrade to a Japanese version from a regular retail. Slaves and Masters, the album they did with Joe Lynn Turner. These are just sitting there on the shelf for $15 a piece in Ottawa. Just waiting for me, as if they knew I was coming. And, of course, my favorite of the Steve Morse era, Deep Purple's Perpendicular, $15. Upgraded. And this one does have a bonus track. Same one as the European version of the album. It's Don't Hold Your... There we go. Don't Hold Your Breath. This is the third copy I've owned of this album. I originally bought what I believe was a European import when the album was initially released. Then it was reissued in the States with that track, Don't Hold Your Breath, I believe. And now I've got the Japanese. Something like that. Either bought the US or the European first. Never bought a domestic. There's the Japanese. Now this is an interesting... Oh, these guys are going on about slipcases. Harrison Kopp does not like slipcases. I prefer jewel cases, myself. And this one, Japanese import, $13 for Rage Against the Machine's Live and Rare. And yes, the Obi strip is intact. Now, I will read you the track listing here. I'm not a... see if I can find an easier to read one. There we go. I am not a Rage Against the Machine aficionado, so I don't know how rare these tracks are. But we have Live, Bullet in the Head, Settle for Nothing, Bomb Track, Take the Power Back, Freedom, Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos, Zapata's Blood, Without a Face, Had to Be Playing on the Jukebox, Fuck the Police, and then we have two rare tracks, Darkness and Clear the Lane. Again, don't know enough about Rage Against the Machine to know. I'm sure those are on singles and whatnot, but I don't know the origins of all those tracks. Look at that. That's pretty cool. No, they are... Oops. They are not sung in Japanese. This is just a Japanese exclusive release. I don't know why people always assume that the songs are sung in Japanese just because the CD came out in Japan. I don't know why. The plastic does shatter, but when you have as many CDs as I have, like you can see back there, slipcases, they just disappear. They just disappear into the shelving. You need a jewel case so you can actually see it. And I also prefer CD to vinyl. Bonus tracks. Bonus tracks are the key. We had a lovely trip to Ottawa. Jen's grandfather on her mom's side. He was a lovely guy. And I'm glad that was the last time we were able to visit that side of the family. But we had a great Easter with them in Ottawa for their 60th. And that's basically all I had for these Easter stories. Came in shy under an hour. I kind of figured I would, which is why I've got one more video I'm going to run. I wanted to run it yesterday, but it didn't really fit in, and kind of ran out of time because I was having such a good time talking to Max the Axe. On yesterday's show, we ran 3 Max the Axe songs. We ran River Grand, Pygmy Blow Dart, and Scales of Justice. Pygmy Blow Dart being the new track. All live. I wanted to also run a very, very, very early track by lead vocalist Uncle Meat when he was performing with a band called Heavy Cutting. They did a song called Fairies Wear Boots by Black Sabbath, and I wanted to run that last night. But I'm going to run it tonight. Oh, hang on. We got lots of comments going on here. His name was Mike. Jen's granddad's name was Mike, and he was a lovely guy. Yep. Helicopters used to put Ester tracks only on vinyl. Dude, I gotta... okay, hang on. You know what? We'll take a detour just for a moment here before we get to Fairies Wear Boots. I'm going to show you something really cool, man. Check this out. Yes, helicopters used to put extra tracks on vinyl only. I have tons of helicopters on vinyl. But you want to talk about extra tracks on vinyl? This is what is called a vinyl CD. Just want to carefully open it up because there's loose stuff in there. There's a pin and a patch. This, my friend, is a vinyl CD. CD on one side, an actual playable vinyl record on the other. Isn't that cool? The vinyl side does not sound very good. I'll tell you that. The vinyl side does not sound very good, but it's an exclusive track that's only on this particular disc and only on the vinyl side of it.
I'm just checking in on you. Go Leafs, go.
Okay, go Leafs, go. Yeah, so that was a nice find for me personally. The helicopters, head off, vinyl disc. Vinyl disc! What will they think of next, eh? So there you go. There's something cool. I am not going to kiss you deadly. Okay. So, once again, I wanted to play this last night, but I ran out of time, so we're going to play it tonight. This is Uncle Meat at some point in the early 90s with a band called Heavy Cutting. I believe this is 91. Fairies Wear Boots. This is the youngest Uncle Meat that anybody has ever seen here on this show. He looks like a hippie. Thank you for watching the show and spending your Good Friday with me tonight. Sorry I was late. Let's go with some Heavy Cutting. Thank you for watching. That's it for this week. We'll be back next week with Andy Curran. Andy Curran, man. Don't miss next week. We are going to be talking to that guy right there. So that's all for this week. I hope you enjoyed the show. This is Heavy Cutting. Fairies Wear Boots. Enjoy.
damn thing down the stairs seemed like the thing to do. Then I ripped the bloody door right off the loo. Because when your day starts just like this, and opened up is when I hear Nikki says, and opened up is don't care if you're not impressed, and opened up is did I mention I was a house guest, and opened up is heading out this evening to meet up with my boys for a couple beers. We'll make a little noise. Checked out the telly to find out what's the score, but the Patriots, they ain't no good no more. I threw that telly on the floor, then caught shit from the man. So I made a beeline straight for the can. Because when your evening starts like this, and opened up is when Tom Brady leaves the Patriots, and opened up is hey, I almost never miss, and opened up is everybody take a look at this, and opened up is don't care about your rules, don't live my life to please you fools. If you don't like it, turn the other way. That's what I say. Like Disney Child writing songs with Kiss, and opened up is like 90s ballads from Aerosmith, and opened up is when the Jays can't get no hits, and opened up is when your socks they smell like this, and opened up is when you just don't give a shit, and opened up is I think you get the gist, and opened up is from on top of the hill. Old Jack was rocking and so was Jill, but he didn't know she wasn't dressed to kill. And when the last song ended, Jack felt ill. The dog says you gotta get some fizzle chicken. The old limp shrimp took a mean shit kicking. Rule number one, a full dog dick. Don't put the buck in the net without some tape on your stick. Now the girl can still come a knock, knock, knocking, and Jack still gets the jukebox rocking. But he don't dance now unless he's covered. Safety first, he's the rockin' in a rubber. Was making time with the lady in red and a bottle of wine. She said, dear boy, you're doing just fine, but don't pop the cork now before it's time. And poor old Blue, he woke up in bed with an ache in his shorts and an ache in his head. The doctor quoted him rule number 2, don't put the ball in the pocket before chalking the view. Now he learned his lesson lying down. And now on blue he won't mess around. He don't want to risk a fatal blunder. He comes prepared, rocking. What's that? Rocking in a way. Don't peel your banana before it's out of the tree, or the girls will be wild. When the show is over, you'll be feeling as lucky as a four-leaf clover. But without your skins, you ain't the drummer, so don't miss a beat. Rockin'.
Yeah, like the stream was supposed to be ending, but then Chris Sarr requested Rockin' a Rubber, and everybody's still here. So I saw a request for some Max the Axe. Somebody requested some Max the Axe. There we go. I assume you want some Max the Axe? I'll bring you some Max the Axe. Sure. I'll bring you some Max the Axe. What do you want? Let's see what I've got here. Do I have Oktoberfest cheer? No. Do I have scales? I got scales. You want to see scales? We'll show you scales.
Wow, you like my paint?
That's how it